Good morning and happy Monday from Baltimore, Maryland. My name is Nikki and I'm the creative director of Transform Nursing. I hope you can see me. I'm sitting here in beautiful sunshine wanting to share a little bit about heart math and the quick coherence technique with you this morning. And my question of the day is, how often have you used mindfulness techniques in your practice at work to help clients or patients with stress management? Thanks, Shannon, for watching. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm doing something a little different today. So just let me know what you hear, as making sure that you can actually hear me. Before we really dive into what we're going to talk about today, I do want to say that all of my work is really focused on nurses and helping them improve their global impact around social justice and around equity. So I teach them the skills that is necessary for them to actually implement that. Great. I'm so glad that you can hear me. Perfect. To help them implement social justice and health equity into their practice. And if you want to learn more about me, you can check me out right here on my Facebook page, or you can check me out on my website at transformnursing.com. I'm trying to get into a space. It looks super bright there. Or on my website, transformnursing.com. And you can find me with all of my information is all there, and I have a wonderful course that I offer to nurses who are interested really in making that impact and making it strong. It's called the Nurses Influential Leadership Lab. It's under the trainings tab on my site. You can also find blogs and podcasts, just great wealth of information for those that are really interested in this topic. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about heart math and the quick coherence. And what I wanted to share first is a story about it. The very first time that I ever used this technique and really taught nurses and other healthcare providers was in Trinidad and Tobago at a conference that I did, and it was about 500 people that were there. And we were all focusing on cardiac disease management, and that's great. I love talking about education and really helping people to understand things from a different perspective. And the thing that was really powerful for me was, sorry guys, I just feel like I'm looking kind of nuts. That looks a lot better. Okay. That's better. You see my car seat. So what we were talking about was cardiac disease management, and what I wanted to do was approach it from a different perspective. I wanted to approach it from the perspective of health and wellness. And so what I did when I got up there was I start talking about stress management, and I actually wanted to do some demonstration. So I demonstrated the quick coherence technique, which if you stay tuned, we're going to demonstrate it today as well. And basically what I did was introduce the concept of heart math. And heart math is an organization who really focuses on understanding how the heart impacts the health of the body. And so basically what they're saying in heart math, and it's heartmath.org, it's an institute that does this great research, and what they're saying is that the heart is more than a simple pump, that the heart actually has its own functional heart brain, and that the heart sends signals to the cranial brain, and these signals travel through our neural pathways, our hormonal pathways in our body, and the heart actually influences the things that are happening in the cranial brain. Now, typically when we think about this, we think about the brain sending more messages to the heart, right? Well, it's actually in their research, and this research is called neurocardiology. In their research, the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain does to the heart, which means that if our heart is in a state of frustration or anger or depression, that actually influences our thought processes. No big surprise, right? And at the same time, a lot of times people don't think about it that way. We're just not educated in that way. That's not the approach that we typically think about. And so what it led me to wonder was, how often do we really use mindfulness techniques? And quick coherence is one of those, where we're talking about the influence of the heart on the rest of the body. And how often do you do that as a practitioner? So what they found with heart math work, and they've done lots of research, they've been doing this research for over a decade, I want to say, but what they found in heart math research is that it actually improved patient outcomes. Can you believe it? It improved patient outcomes in hypertension, in post-traumatic stress disorder, in autoimmune dysfunction, in chronic pain management, and clinical depression, which I think is just really, really important. So the work that they're doing has everything to do with patient care and everything to do with informing us on how we can sort of better take care of patients and how we can sort of better take care of ourselves. And all of this research got me to wondering, how is it that we as healthcare professionals, and maybe just as people in general, are so willing to sort of function in chaos, right? I know as a healthcare professional, as a nurse, it was almost like the emergency of it was what people were chasing. There was like a certain high when we had something emergent that was going on with our patients, and people didn't really know how to operate in peace and calm and like how to be in that space. And have you noticed how much we tolerate dysfunction in our workspaces, how much we tolerate it in our healthcare spaces? And I wondered, why is that? And I started looking at some research again with Heart Math. And good morning. Thanks so much for joining. I started looking at some research, and the fact is that 60 to 80% of primary care doctors' visits are related to stress, but only 3% of patients receive stress management help. I'll say that again. About 60 to 80% of primary care doctors' visits are related to stress, but only 3% of patients receive stress care management. Thank you. So I wanted to share a story about one of my patients, who I'll call Mr. F for the purposes of what we're talking about. But this patient was a very young African-American gentleman, and he was a patient of mine many years ago, and he was very young, and he had progressive cardiac disease. So he had cardiomyopathy, he had heart failure. The short of the story is we were doing every therapy that we could do to sort of preserve the functioning of his heart, and yet still it wasn't really helping. So we knew that the trajectory that he was on, that we were just sort of helping him live the best quality of life, because he wasn't going to live for much longer. And I want to say that this man was in his late 30s. He had a family. He was very concerned about his family. He wanted to leave something for them. He wanted things to be better. And so for him, he was constantly anxious, right? Anxiety. He was in pain. So we were giving him anxiety medication. We were giving him Xanax. We were giving him pain medication. But what happens between the doses, right? Because we can only dose you every 2 to 4 hours, maybe every 6 to 8 hours. But what happens when you're not quite ready for us to dose you again, but you're still feeling really anxious, or you're still having pain? So I went into this gentleman's room and I said, hey, would you like to learn something called the quick coherence technique? It might actually help to calm you. It might give you some opportunity to take a deep breath and, kind of make it between these doses of medication to sort of give you a better sense of calm and balance. And he said he would. So I sat there for about 60 seconds and I did this practice with him. It was a simple mindfulness technique, one any one of us can do at any time we need to. And I taught him the technique, and he was so appreciative, because this was something that he could use even when we weren't there. This was something he could use when he had to go home and there was just a lot of things that were on his mind. And I felt really good that I could give him something that would empower him and keep him engaged in the process of taking care of himself. And what happens with us? Let's take it to a personal level. What happens with you when you are feeling stressed? Do you feel stress in your body in certain places? What happens to your mind? What happens to your heart, right? Start to think about the things that actually happen, because those things actually do matter. And then think about what happens when I am tasked to actually work and be present and show up as a nurse, or just show up in life when I have these feelings, these incoherent states. What do you do? Well, I know for me, the things that happens is that I tend to feel sluggish. I tend to feel like I'm drained. I tend to feel like my mind doesn't get together. I can't move very fast. Like there's a lot of these different things. I'm not breathing very well. I can notice how shallow the breaths tend to be. And so for me, I wanted to have a way that I could shift out of that, because sometimes I need to be in a state of mind where I'm able to really address my patient, or address the person that's in front of me, or address a coworker or a colleague, or maybe it's a family member. And so having a process that you could use to shift you is so powerful and so important. And so what I wanted to do was just to quickly do the quick coherence technique with you, to show you something that you can take with you, which is my favorite part of anything, is to have something practical for you. So if you're interested in doing it now, great. If you can't do it because you're driving, then it's something for you to reference back to later. But I wanted to walk you through it. It probably will only take about 30 seconds this morning, but you could typically do it in about 60. I to say find a quiet place to do it. So for me, when I was at work, it usually was the bathroom, maybe the clean utility room, someplace where I'm not going to necessarily be disturbed, where I can just take a deep breath and then just sort of settle into it. So if you're ready to do this, let's just have you put both of your feet flat on the floor if you can, and put your hands in your lap, facing up or palms down, doesn't really matter. And then I'll invite you to close your eyes. If you want to, feel free to do that. If you don't, that's also okay. I'll go ahead and close my eyes too, to make it a little bit more comfortable for you. And I'll walk you through this. And this is called the Quick Coherence Technique, and it was created by heartmath.org. And it's just a technique to help you tap into your heart brain's energy, okay? To tap into your heart brain so you can bring coherence to your mind and to your body. And this is a great tool for your patients and for yourself, even for kids. All right, here we go. Take a deep breath in. And your goal is to take longer, deeper breaths. And you're also trying to notice how you feel in your body. Notice if there are areas of tightness or tension. And then I want you to place your hand over your heart, if it helps to anchor your awareness there. And then I want you to think of something that you're grateful for. And it can be past or present, big or small, just something that you are grateful for. Really try to feel it. Remember what it felt like, tasted like, smelled like. Bring as many senses as you can to the experience. Feel gratitude. Keep breathing. And as you're noticing, notice if there's been any change in tightness or tension, any change in the quantity or even the quality of your thoughts. Just notice. And when you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers and toes, wake your body back up, and here we are. Now, you may not have an opportunity to do this as thoroughly, but I gotta tell you, if you just take a moment and if you just calm yourself down and bring yourself into a space where you can breathe, you'll feel better. Automatically, I can feel the change in my breathing. I can feel how expansive that feels, even with that quick, 20, 30 seconds, really made a difference. If you're interested in learning more techniques around mindfulness and how to just sort of keep yourself calm, I invite you to check out my featured resource on my website, which is called 4 Easy Techniques to Keep You Calm as a Nurse. It's under my featured resources. Hey, Jason, good morning. Yes, I did show this in class. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. That was in Trinidad, wasn't it, Jason? But yeah, check out the 4 Easy Techniques to Keep You Calm as a Nurse. It's on my website at transformnursing.com under featured resources. I would love to connect with you in any way. Stay amazing, stay great, keep doing the work that you're doing, and please join me for my next live in the next couple of weeks. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in there. Tag a nurse. If you think that they'll be interested in learning about this, tag somebody else who may just need to have a little bit more mindfulness in their day. Take good care, everyone. Bye-bye. Oh, do I look absolutely beautiful? Thanks, Jason. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.